listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us this morning. It is Tuesday, August the 20th, 2024. We're grateful for you being on. We're thankful to be here with you. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio, streaming live at cklu.ca. Just click on the Radio Player Canada app on the website. You can stream us. You can also download it and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device, and live streaming at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel and the page. We're also found on demand afterwards on those two platforms, along with twitter.com/Sudbury News. Now it's X, but anyhow. Sudbury.news, which is our local news aggregator. You can find it at Sudbury.news. It aggregates all of the local news into one webpage, CBC, CTV, Sudbury.com, and Sudbury Star, all in one location. And then you can find the show on demand there as well by clicking on the Sudbury News Talk tab, in the top right area of the webpage. And that's how you can watch the show afterwards on demand. I just encourage everyone to comment on the show if you're on Facebook or YouTube. That's the only two platforms that we're live on, and you can comment. However, the conversation will continue on Facebook after the show. So if you have something that you wanted to add to the conversation, you can do so on Facebook. It is your conversation on your station. CKLU's been around since 1984. Started off in a humble little trailer, Ramsey Lake Road at the Laurentian campus, and now we are broadcasting live from our studio on the corner of Elgin and Elm. That's where the signal is going out from, but I'm coming to you from a remote studio, my own studio, through the miracle of technology. So glad to be here in that capacity, and glad that we are able to deliver the show. Without technology, we wouldn't be able to do that. Now, it takes several devices and all kinds of software, but we're still able to do it. And with, very few glitches. The odd time there's a glitch and we're not able to do the show, but we're pretty much able to do it most of the time, as you know, because most of you are on every morning. I'm so grateful to see you guys each and every morning. It's like going out for our morning beverage and sitting down in a local shop and just having a conversation about the issues that concern each and every one of us. And one of the things that we talk about a lot in Northern Ontario is the weather. So speaking of that, why don't we just kick it right off with a little bit of weather. We'll be back with the news headlines and your comments and more right after this. And weather brought to you by Duck Check. Duck Check for your residential, commercial, and industrial duct cleaning needs. They are the experts. Give them a call. They're serving Greater Sudbury and Muskoka areas. Currently, it is 8 degrees. It is sunny, and it's mainly sunny today. The wind will be gusting up to 40 early in the morning. The high today will be 20. UV index will be 6 or high. Tonight, a few clouds, and the wind will be the same, and low of 8 overnight. As you notice, the nights are getting a little cooler. Tomorrow, mainly sunny with a high of 23. UV index will be 3 or moderate. So mainly sunny tomorrow. And then 26 and sunny for Thursday, and just in time for the weekend. 40% chance of showers on Friday with a high of 26. 40% chance of showers on Saturday with a high of 26. And then for Sunday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 28. So it's getting warmer again. Back to those higher warm temperatures. And then as well on Monday, 28 and a mix of sun and cloud. Look at your satellite. You got a lot of clearing there. And this was taken just a couple hours ago, so it's very recent. Mainly clear over all of northern Ontario. Enjoy it while you can, and enjoy the rest of your summer. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by Duck Check. Visit them online at duckcheck, D-U-C-T, check.com, or give them a call at 705-918-4848. Ask for Steve. Let them know we sent you, and they'll be able to give you a discount for all your duct cleaning, whether it be residential, commercial, or industrial. They'll make sure your air is clean. All right, we'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. All right, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for being on, and just a little bit of a shout out for the quite a few people that are on this morning. Nana, usually first to the show, and a good morning to you. Blessings, everyone, and a heart emoji. And our condolences to you, Nana, on behalf of Kevin. And I just saw that you shared an email with me this morning, so I just saw it just before getting on the show, so I'm going to check that out right after the show. So thanks for sharing that with me. And Judy, good morning on Facebook. Thanks for being with us. And Marianne as well, good morning. Everyone from sunny but Chillyberry, liked and shared as usual. And Monique, good morning, Sudbury, with a sunny and an emoji with some shades on. That's my favorite emoji. And David, good morning. Take care. Stay safe. I hope the same for you. I hope you're feeling well. I know you had a long stint in the hospital there. I hope you're feeling better these days, David. And Miles joining us on YouTube. Good morning. I can't find it on Facebook. Well, that's very interesting, because we do have some people on Facebook here. Denise is on Facebook. Blessings, everyone. Monique, also, Grand Rising with a heart emoji. Thanks for being on, Monique. And Maurice, good morning with a smiley emoji. And it looks like Linda, good morning, Linda, from Emerald Lake Camp, Highway 805, River Valley. Well, that's very specific coordinates, and I do know where River Valley is, so thanks for joining us this morning, Linda. Great to have you on, along with Jerome. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 2 exclamation marks. So it's a great morning. It's going to be sunny. I'm just going to let some more light in here. Give me a second, guys. All right, that's awesome. Okay, just letting some of the natural sunlight in here. I just remembered I didn't open the blinds, and feels good. Sunshine is good for the soul. Okay, I finally came on my Facebook. It finally came on my Facebook. So what is up with that anyways? I don't understand these algorithms, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Facebook. And you would think it would just be a one and done, set it and forget it kind of thing. But it's not. It's like on my phone, we have 40 more followers than on my laptop or on the actual Facebook page itself. But when someone else comes on and follows it, which all of y'all on the show right now are only invited, as it shows. Maybe I'll just show that today. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show that, because it's pretty telling. The fact that everybody's on the show, but you're only invited to like or follow the show, and none of you are officially following it, which doesn't make any sense. It's not coming through on my end. It's not registering it for people looking on Facebook and saying, "Oh, I wonder how many followers they have." It's just not. It's not accurate. And when someone follows it, comes in to my notifications and it says, "Someone just followed your page." Your page, yeah. So I go on and it says, "You now have 7,245 followers." Oh, do I? Okay. So then I go on my dashboard on the laptop, and it says I have 7,205. So why would my dashboard tell me I have 40 followers less than whenever I have a new follower and it tells me the total, right? So there's obviously something going on with Facebook's algorithms where you would think a follower is a follower. It's the same everywhere. Like I have whatever followers I have, right? Why in one place it says I have so many and in another it says I have others. But it's funny how the public one, the one that's out there for people to see, is 40 less. How would that even be? So just an observation, and I thought I would share it in real time. Good morning, Patriots. This is Brian joining us. Good morning, Brian. Thanks for being with us. Why don't we dive right into a few of the headlines that we have here this morning? I know the Sudbury Star, they have a newsletter that I would encourage everybody to sign up for. And with that, they send you a newsletter each and every morning at 7 o'clock sharp, pretty much. 7 o'clock in the morning sharp. And the stories are pretty up to date. Sudbury.com has a feature, which is the good morning stories to start your day. And it's usually just the news headlines from yesterday. And, and that's really great as well. Their newsletter is a little behind usually, the Sudbury.com's newsletter. It doesn't come every single morning like the Sudbury Star. So in terms of the newsletters anyways, if we're going to have a head-to-head bare-knuckle round between the two, Sudbury Star wins the newsletter. Battle of the newsletters. 100%. But one winner all the time is the Sudbury.news because you always have the news stories as they're coming out right there, brand new and fresh off the presses at 7 a.m. from Sudbury.com. Is Michelle Murray she's officially the Northern Lights' new director. She took the interim role this spring, leading the NLFB through its summer festival. So congratulations to Michelle. I do know Michelle. She's a wonderful person. She's very capable, and I'm glad that she's in the position that she is. They couldn't have a finer individual to be able to head that up. So congratulations, Michelle, on the appointment, the official appointment. You've been doing the role, and you did a really great job with this last Northern Lights Festival. Okay, just going through some of these, the news stories again, right? So Sudbury.com, good morning, stories to start your day. Just looking through some of these stories. I want to get to what we wanted to talk about this morning. And yes, so let's just head on over to our Sudbury Star newsletter because they've covered some of these just in a row without having to search through them. And here we go. So the Sudbury Star's newsletter. Headlines. Charges laid in the crash that killed the wheelchair occupant, a Sudbury driver who was 20, accused of careless operation causing death. You remember the person that was killed in the wheelchair that Vin knew and told us about. So the person was charged, 20 years old. If you want more on that, you can find that story from the Sudbury Star on Sudbury.news, but this is just coming from their newsletter. Also keeping in the theme of highways and accidents and unfortunate deaths, a driver was killed Friday in a crash on Skeed Road. A man, 45, was ejected from a pickup after striking an embankment that was on Skeed Road Friday around 9. And so for more on that, again, you can go to Sudbury.news and read more about it. A missing teen, maybe in Toronto area, Sudbury Regional Police, or Greater Sudbury Police, formerly Sudbury Regional Police. Greater Sudbury Police officers are looking for the public's help in locating a girl last seen on August the 17th. So you can read about that again. Just check out Sudbury.news. There was, you remember the fire a little while ago, basically a drug-related homicide. Sudbury judge deciding the sentence of a triple killer, a sentencing hearing for a man who set in motion a plan that killed 3 people when a Bruce Avenue townhouse was firebombed more than 3 years ago. Went well into the afternoon on Monday. A Sudbury jury took just over 3 hours back in May to find Liam Stinson guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder. Justice Dan Cornell must now decide Stinson's sentence, which had not been rendered by the Star's print deadline. So you go to the Sudbury Star, you can find that out, the full story, on Monday's hearing. Jamie Lynn Rose, Guy Henry, and Jasmine Summers died when the Bruce Avenue townhouse they were staying at was set on fire in the morning of April 11th, 2021. David Cheff, the townhouse's tenant, was badly injured. He escaped by jumping out a window. For that, Stinson is guilty of arson causing bodily harm. Now, also, unfortunately, 4 stories in a row regarding deaths. Not on purpose, it just happens to be. The police are looking for info regarding a Bell Park death. So a picture of the young man here, 45 years old. Police have identified the individual who was found dead in Bell Park late last month and are asking anyone for information to step forward. The deceased is Pat Forgus, Forgues, 36 years old, said Greater Sudbury Police on Monday. The police service said it was releasing the name with the family's permission in order to obtain additional information to progress the investigation. Anyone who may have had interactions with him on the evening of July the 30th or was present at Bell Park in the early morning hours of July 31st is being asked to share information. Police said members responded shortly after 6 a.m. on July the 31st to the area of the large gazebo northeast of the Grace Hartman Amphitheater in relation to an ambulance assistance. So that's very unfortunate there. And we have some more comments coming in here, so we just want to get to those. Been following Sudbury News for over 2 years, listening to CKLU much longer. It's real radio. Well, right on, Jerome. Thank you so much for that. I've been following it as well. And yeah, you've been following the show right from the beginning then, because we're basically going to be they were on our 3rd year now, and we will be 3 years in March of 2025, right? So we're basically only 2.5 years. You also go on to say, if no one is there to hear the news, did it really happen? All right. Appreciate the sense of humor in the morning. Thank you so much. And Nana, I'm so sorry for the loss of your friend Vin. Yes. Monique says the guy probably had a heart attack caused by you know what, possibly. Or if you're speaking of the person in Bell Park that the police are releasing information about now to find out more information about it. And Victoria, good morning to you. August 31st, International Overdose Awareness Day. We are having a march at noon at Bell Park. Invited mayor and councillors. We'll be contacting CTV and other suggestions to invite from the community. Any other suggestions? So to invite from the community, well, we'll just put out an invite to the community right now. As we mentioned that, so it's August 31st, International Overdose Awareness Day. I think you're going to have a lot of people because that's a huge subject of what the mayors are meeting about in Ottawa. They want action with what's going on in our cities, including overdoses, homelessness, the opioid crisis, and all of the issues related to, what's going on in our downtowns. And obviously, drug addiction is part of it. Now, I say drug addiction. I'm sorry if it's not the politically correct way to say it. People experiencing the opioid crisis, I guess. I'm not sure what the right thing is to say, but many people are suffering and many people are dying needlessly. So let's do something about it. So I'm glad that you're doing that. So thanks, Victoria. If we think of anything, anyone thinks of who Victoria could invite, I'd say local church leaders for sure, because they're usually people that are very empathetic and they have congregations and they want to do good and contribute to our community and help in any way. So I would say church leaders would be another one to involve. John is a friend to many and Dowling loved by many, a friend to all, how he could make us laugh. Godspeed, John. And so that's from Jerome. Yes, for sure. And condolences to family and friends of John from all of us. Liette, good morning. Everyone with a exclamation point. Good morning, Liette. Thanks for being on. And Monique says, who distributed drugs in our community? Question mark, question mark. For sure. It is political. There are many people out there that have contributed. I mean, some people feel they're solving it, but sometimes the solution could be worse than the problem itself. We saw that through the last 4 years we just went through, right? Miles, also, there are many volunteers that walk downtown every day with backpacks and overdose kits to try to help. I don't think there are enough of them. And you're probably right, Miles. In fact, I know that you are right. So Northern Ontario mayors call for a centralized Ontario ministry to look at key social issues. This is from CBC. As more than 2,000 delegates from across Ontario gather in Ottawa to talk about shared municipal issues, Northern mayors are bringing mental health, addiction, and homelessness to the forefront. And definitely want to read more about that, since we're pretty much on the theme of it. Sault Ste. Marie Mayor Matthew Schumacher says his city had Ontario's highest opioid-related death rate. That is not a stat that you want to be proud of. Northern Ontario mayors say they need more help from the province to help solve the issues of homelessness and addiction in their communities. From Marcus Schwabe from CBC, as more than 2,000 delegates from across Ontario gathered to Ottawa to talk about shared municipal issues, topics like mental health and addiction and homelessness are front and center. They are key issues for more than 400 communities represented at the annual meeting of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. And Shirley, good morning to you from Capriol. Thanks for being on, Shirley. And Denise says, I noticed something about rich people. They feel good if they are donating. You know what? You are right, Denise. Okay, we'll wait for your comment and then I'll comment on your comment. They don't care why they're donating or why the problem is so bad. They just want to donate to feel good. We need to go to the root, sorry about that, of the problem, because the people around us really don't care. Okay. Well, that's a loaded comment. And I think you are right to some degree. There are people out there who have money, who feel good about giving their money. I also feel, and you are right to some degree. There must be people out there like that. We know that. And I would say there's also people out there who have money, who actually do care, who actually want to do something as well. There's people that don't have lots of money either, and they give to causes that they believe in. But I do feel you make a point of, I think it's just important, instead of just money and just giving money, to actually get involved and do things and spend your time, give of your time for causes, right? Instead of just writing a check and saying, here you go. That is one part. And we do need money in order to have campaigns and do things and make things happen. But I think getting involved is a huge thing. And that's why I mentioned about church leaders. And many of them are not rich, by the way. There's many church leaders out there that do not have a lot of money, but they are able to rally people around causes. And it's something that's near and dear to many people who are churchgoers. They don't want to see that. They feel really badly. Now, what to do? That's the thing, right? So if someone's able to rally and come up with concrete things that our community can just do, there's concrete things we can get out and do to help our brothers that are suffering and sisters that are suffering out there. And when I say brothers, it's a term that encapsulates everybody. So our fellow persons. If I say fellow man, it just means it's generic for everybody. Call me old school, I don't know. My heart is definitely in the right place. What can we do to help our fellow people that are out there suffering like this? Northern Ontarians are bringing their voices to the discussion. So to continue with the CBC story, Sault Ste. Marie's Mayor Matthew Schumacher says it's huge and urgent. The crisis, it's on various levels. You know, Sault Ste. Marie has had the highest rate of opioid deaths over the last quarter in Ontario. So this is a health crisis, a social crisis, and it dissuades people from wanting to be out and about in our city. But the real moral reason why it needs to be addressed, it's because people are dying. Last week, now again, this is the whole, and I don't know if it plays into the harm reduction, the theory, this ideology of harm reduction. Is the main thing that people are dying? Like, I'm just putting a question out there. Is that the main thing? What about the state they're in? Could that be one of the main things? Anyone who's been addicted to a substance, could they relate to, is dying the worst, or is living with that in that state one of the main reasons we need to do something about it as well? Sure, we don't want death for those that are suffering, but do we want them to be continually in a state of addiction as well? Right? So I just put that out there. Do we just want to prevent people from dying? That's one thing. And if we leave it at that, then do we just want to encourage those that are suffering to continue in their suffering? That's why we call it suffering. Do we just want them to continue in that suffering on the streets? Is that a priority for us? To just stop them from dying? Right? I'm just putting it out there. Just food for thought. Or should one of our priorities be to offer a help to relieve them of that suffering, so that way they can live without the suffering, not just not die with suffering. Do you get what I'm saying? Is it making any sense? So last week, Schumacher and other mayors from Northern Ontario's 5 largest cities joined their counterparts in Southern Ontario in a call for more provincial help on the issue. They're suggesting the creation of a new centralized ministry to coordinate all support funding and programs. Right? So I don't know even if this is a government thing. I don't know if they'll have the solution. I don't know if we just put everything into their hands. I think this is a grassroots thing myself. I really do. I think we need to get people who are compassionate and empathetic just by nature to sit around and have a heart to heart and really, flesh out the issue and come up with some solutions and then present that to the government. I just think that's the way to go. Myself. Sault Ste. Marie Mayor Matthew Shoemaker. That's just about the picture. So North Bay's mayor, Peter Chirico, agrees, says he believes enough funding in the system. There is enough funding in the system. But with so many agencies and support programs, it may not be efficiently reaching the people. That's what I brought up with Mike Parent when he was on the show on Friday. I said, I don't know. You got 165 or so organizations trying to do something about this. They all have executive directors. They all have managers. They all have supervisors. They all have volunteers. How do you coordinate that? They all have their mandates. They all have their visions. They all have their mission. They all have what they're there to do. They all have separate funding to carry out what they're supposed to do. None of it's coordinated. Oh, okay. Very few of it. It could be better coordinated, put it that way. So I just don't think it's a good system. So he's saying there's enough funding, right? There's many agencies and programs, but it may not be efficiently reaching the people in need. There's funding provided by so many different ministries that are entwined within that funding, he said. I agree. Whether it's health, whether it's social services, even MTO has issues with the homelessness and encampments. There are a lot of people out there that are failing as a society to provide them with support. And so I like the concept of centralized ministry for municipalities to access, and with some streamlining that can be taken place. Some streamlining that can be taken place. So I agree on that, and you knew if you were listening to the show or watching the show on Friday, you know that's now whether or not the government's able to pull this off. I am not too sure about that. I think it needs to be grassroots. I think the government needs to be involved. Obviously, our tax money goes to the government, so that way they can then disperse it back as needed for different things. And so if someone put together a kick-butt system that could really help those that are struggling and present it, and it might even save costs, and have better anticipated results, I think that's the way we need to go, and look at systems that are already working in other provinces or other areas of the world, which there are things that are working. Homelessness and addiction are everyday issues. Chirico says, who's the mayor of North Bay, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing his name correctly, says the issue of encampments, homelessness, and mental health and addiction problems are being faced by his city every day and by his colleagues in the North. He goes on to say, we act as sort of a service center because many of the smaller communities outside of our jurisdiction or funding or taxation do not have the services that people need. And that's why we're seeing a lot of people coming to cities like Sudbury and North Bay and Sault Ste. Marie and Timmins and any other city for that matter. He also says the government has to make sure that it's spending money wisely, and he thinks the proposed idea of a centralized ministry could be the answer. And I think it is probably a good thing, too, to make one ministry just looks after that. But again, I don't think they should be the one holding the torch and running with the ideas and making it happen. I think they should just be the ones to disperse the funds for a grassroots, organized and system that's made that could actually work and then present it to government. Okay, I've said it 3 times. I won't say it anymore. We have to be sure the services that are being provided are targeting and hitting the mark and making sure that we address the issues that we have in society right now. We need to do this. We are in crisis right now. So it is. It is definitely something that's right now. And we will be obviously talking about this at length. And that's a picture of the North Bay mayor there. We will be talking about this on more shows in the future. Now we're going to switch gears to something that is happening now as well in our society, And it's related because why do we have a homelessness crisis, people experiencing homelessness? Why do we have a housing crisis? So opioids are one aspect of that in a kind of a complex scenario that we have in Canada, but it's not the only cause of the homelessness or a housing crisis. It's definitely not the cause of a housing crisis, the opioids, but we have mass immigration coming to Canada that does cause the crisis of homelessness. And again, it's not racist to say this. It's just aggressive immigration policies that don't have the infrastructure to handle the policy. That's all it is. It's not anybody saying people are bad and one people are good or anything. It's just saying if you have too many people and not enough houses, you now have a crisis. That's just as simple as it can be. So, along with this, we also have undocumented, documented foreign workers. And so while there's mass immigration going on and the policies, people that are coming into Canada need jobs, they need to work. And so to shed a little light on this and then how it's going and maybe see how you feel about it, Harrison Faulkner from True North, and he'll let us in on this.
Last week, Canada's mass immigration train wreck was forced into the mainstream media spotlight after a United Nations report into the temporary foreign workers system in Canada was released, calling the system a breeding ground for contemporary slavery. Well, that had to have been quite a shock to all the mainstream media journalists who turned a blind eye to the expansion of the temporary foreign worker program over the past few years. Canada has relied on small numbers of temporary foreign workers in the agricultural sector for quite some time. But thanks to an interactive map that any Canadian can use online, we can see that the use of temporary foreign workers to flip burgers and pour coffee at fast food restaurants has skyrocketed. No wonder youth unemployment is so high across the country. Now, the blame for this should be going around evenly. It's the federal government who greenlight the use of temporary foreign workers in the fast food sector. But it's also employers who benefit from being able to rely on temporary foreign workers and to suppress wages. And as if this story just couldn't get any better, it turns out that British Columbia Liberal MP Suk Dhaliwal actually hired temporary foreign workers in late 2023 for his own private business. When even the United Nations is calling this system modern slavery in our country, you know there's a big problem. And it's also way worse than what we're being told. Before we get into the show, be sure to drop a like on this video, help us out by subscribing to the True North YouTube channel, and the comment question for the episode is this: would you boycott a business that relies exclusively on temporary foreign workers as staff? Let me know your answer in the comments below, and let's get into it. Since the beginning of 2023, the federal government greenlit the hiring of close to 300,000 temporary foreign workers, 294,000 to be exact. And according to the United Nations, the system isn't going so well. This was how the state broadcaster reported the news that Canada is actually operating a modern slavery system.
Canada's temporary foreign worker programs are the subject of a scathing report from the United Nations. The UN Special Rapporteur on Contemporary Forms of Slavery says the programs for foreign agricultural workers are, quote, a breeding ground for modern forms of slavery. Tomoya Obokata says he heard accounts of exploitation and abuse from migrant workers during a 2-week fact-finding mission to Canada. And his report comes about a year after Jamaican farm workers in Ontario called attention to their own alleged mistreatment.
It wouldn't surprise me if the federal government knew that a report like this was inevitable. After all, it was Mark Miller, the immigration minister, and Justin Trudeau several months ago who called out employers for relying on temporary foreign workers and for driving down Canadian wages. Suppressing Canadian wages and taking jobs away from young Canadians in the job market, that's pretty bad. But modern slavery? Well, that requires some serious damage control. This was how Mark Miller last week addressed these rather serious allegations.
I object to the characterization. I think to some extent it's quite offensive to treat people that have employees that are temporary foreign workers as slave owners. I have met a number of them I've been to farms. The rapporteur in this first meeting, my understanding, actually never went to a farm. It's something that I don't want to deny the underlying facts. There are abuses. I think the characterization is inflammatory.
Every single time a temporary foreign worker is hired, it has to go through the federal government. It has to be approved by the federal government. So it's all very strange when they pretend to be shocked about how fast this system has spiraled out of control. Now, I don't really believe the UN has any right to come into Canada and lecture us on how to run our country, but this report does make some shocking claims. Well, the United Nations Special Rapporteur assigned to investigate Canada's temporary foreign worker system, Tomoya Obokata, called the temporary foreign worker system a breeding ground for contemporary slavery. In the report, Obokata says that he received reports from workers being underpaid and going without protective equipment, and of employers confiscating documents, arbitrarily cutting working hours, and preventing workers from seeking health care. Women reported sexual harassment, exploitation, and abuse. In addition, police have reportedly failed to take complaints seriously, claim that they do not have jurisdiction and report workers to immigration authorities rather than investigating their complaints. As Obokata writes in his report, the government defers a significant portion of responsibility for informing temporary foreign workers of their rights to employers, despite the obvious conflict of interest. Unlike other newcomers, temporary foreign workers cannot benefit from federal settlement services, which would provide information on their rights and facilitate their ability to participate in public life. Because temporary foreign workers are tied to closed work permits, meaning they can't work for anyone else than the employer who brought them into their country for the period of time that they're allowed to stay, the report argues that this is a de facto debt bondage. But despite whatever concerns activist groups and the UN might have about this system, the federal government seems to love it. So you can get a better sense of just how frequently the federal government issues an LMIA to an employer. This is the quarterly breakdown of LMIAs issued across the country. And by the way, an LMIA is basically an agreement between the employer and the federal government that employer has tried and failed to hire a Canadian or a permanent resident for a job and must therefore rely on a temporary foreign worker. In the first quarter of 2023, the federal government issued just under 60,000 LMIAs, 59,500. The following quarter, that number went down to 41,000. Following that, the third quarter of 2023, the number jumped back up to 47,000. And then, in the final quarter of 2023, those numbers just completely took off. 78,630 LMIAs issued in the fourth quarter of 2023. And in the first quarter of 2024, the federal government issued 68,000 LMIAs. Now, between 2018 and 2023, the number of temporary foreign workers working in agriculture, working as basically farmhands, went from 49,000 in 2018 to well over 80,000 in 2023, a 67% increase. But the most outrageous number out of all of this is the number of temporary foreign workers hired to work in fast food restaurants, to work as food service counter attendants. In 2018, there were only 170 temporary foreign workers hired to work as food counter attendants. By 2023, that number was 8.3 thousand, representing a 4,802% change. The number of temporary foreign workers hired as administrative assistants went from 287 to 3.3 thousand. From 2018 to 2023, there are now 3.3 thousand administrative assistants who are temporary foreign workers. And get this, there were only 16 temporary foreign workers hired to be nurses in 2018. 16. By 2023, the number of temporary foreign workers hired as nurses in Canada was over 2,500, representing a 15,613% change. Why can't Canadians do those jobs? Why can't we find Canadians to work as nurses? Why can't we find Canadians to work in fast food restaurants? And thanks to a very patriotic Canadian who took Employment and Social Services Canada data and put it onto an interactive map, we can now figure out which businesses rely the most on temporary foreign workers, which fast food restaurants rely on temporary foreign workers, and who are the biggest abusers of the temporary foreign worker program. Well, if you go to lmiamap.ca, you can find your town, your city, and figure out which businesses in your area are using temporary foreign workers, when in reality they should probably be hiring Canadians with better wages. But we have the map in front of us, and I've gone through the largest recipients of LMIAs in each province, and I want to just highlight a couple of them for you so you get a better idea. In the first quarter of 2024, the first 3 months of 2024, a business called S. Sunder Orchards in British Columbia received 427 temporary foreign workers. In Alberta, a farm business by the name of Big Marble Farms Inc., well, they received 273 temporary foreign workers to work at their farm. In the Greater Toronto Area, Algoma Orchards received 167 temporary foreign workers in the first quarter of 2024. But as you saw from that data we pulled earlier, fast food businesses are hiring temporary foreign workers at an outrageous rate. There are a couple of businesses that I want to highlight for you on the show so you get a better sense of just how widespread this problem is. For example, there's a company called Redberry Crown Restaurants. Redberry operates what appears to be hundreds of Burger King and Taco Bell locations. Now, in the first 3 months of 2024, the federal government approved 122 LMIAs, 122 temporary foreign workers to work for Redberry Crown Restaurants, to work as food service supervisors and managers at Taco Bell and Burger King restaurants. And I also just want to highlight this for you here. We're going to pick on one Tim Hortons location in Collingwood, Ontario. According to the LMIA map, this one Tim Hortons in Collingwood has 18 temporary foreign workers. One temporary foreign worker manager of the Tim Hortons, 8 food service supervisors, and 9 food counter attendants. 18 staff at one Tim Hortons location, that's quite a large number. You would almost have to think that that's the entire staff. Remarkable. There are those in the Liberal government who seem to want to get in on the action of the temporary foreign worker system in Canada. After all, with so many businesses enjoying the opportunities of hiring low-wage, out-of-country workers, it wouldn't be a shock to find Liberal MPs doing the same for their own private businesses. Such is the case with Liberal MP Suk Dhaliwal out of Surrey, British Columbia. Turns out that actually Suk Dhaliwal's land surveying company took advantage of the LMIA program by hiring legal administrative assistants. So with all these fast food jobs and even administrative jobs going to temporary foreign workers, what are young Canadians expected to do when they want to get a job, when they want to get a summer job or break into the job market? Well, they're actually just being left behind. Youth unemployment in Canada has increased by 40%. In April 2022, youth unemployment was at 10.2%. That number is now at 14%. It would not be a stretch at all to say that the federal government has abandoned the youth of this country in order to benefit employers by providing them with an endless supply of cheap foreign labor. Let's just call it what it is. Betrayal. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for us today on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Harrison Faulkner, and this is Ratio.
Well, thanks to Harrison Faulkner and True North News for that segment. Something that, surprisingly, we were not able to hear on CBC for some reason. You would think if it was such a big story like that, you would think it would be picked up by the media, because it is a newsworthy story. Wouldn't you agree with that? Would you think that that's newsworthy? And now you can go to the website that he said to look at the map. You can find all those figures yourself. You can go and try to see if for some reason he's sharing misinformation, right? So that's just something that we like to do on this show is actually try to get to the bottom of what's really going on and try to share another perspective for people, so that way they, the CBC was given $1.5 billion to operate in a year for operating. You would think one of their journalists could have picked up on this story. I think it's something that's, important for people in this country, the tax money that's paying for their salary to inform them about, you would think, you would hope, but it's not there. And there must be a reason for it. And you need to ask yourself that. What's the reason why you've never heard any of these things on our government-sponsored media, right? So you heard the government representative, Mark What's-His-Nose, talking about his reasoning for, he was worried about the terminologies more than what's really happening, right? He was worried about what people are being called, not what's actually going on. So it goes to show you where their priorities are. But anyways, that's the show. Thanks for tuning in. We're grateful to be here with you today, and we'll hopefully be back same time, same place on the same platforms tomorrow, God willing. So thanks for being with us. Have a wonderful, safe Tuesday, everyone. We'll see you on Wednesday. We have a really special guest planned for Thursday's show. So I know it's after tomorrow, but at the same time, I'll tell you a little bit more about our guest that we're going to have on Thursday tomorrow. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM, and have a wonderful day. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.